Like that, I mean, there's consequences to actions, right? And if you know that the consequences are warranted, but you can't see your child, you can't see your son any differently than your son.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
don't know what it is to have to be in a situation where you have to look at your children as something other than your children.
Man.
Look at your children as a criminal, as criminals, or as addicts. I mean,
Right.
I
Right.
think that
Or abusers.
abuse,
You know how many
all of the things.
women I've heard, they've watched their son actively commit abuse. You understand? Domestic violence
Mm-hmm.
on a woman in front of their mother. You understand? And then say stuff like, look what you made him do to you. Or what did you do to make him act this way?
Yeah.
They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend.
Still on me?
Yeah. We got roles.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to post that on Facebook.
Yeah.
Per our conversation, Jay said he go we gonna get to it. Anyway, welcome to the Dear Son Show. We have meaningful conversations about life through the lens of fatherhood. It's for fathers, those with fathers, and the fatherless. I am one of your hosts, D. Johns.
I'm Jay Black.
Jay, oh
Saw that
yeah,
switch?
you forgot your
Saw that switch?
you went to your moniker, then forgot it. Went to your moniker, forgot it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. We appreciate you guys stopping by, checking us out. If this is your first time, please don't make it your last. If you've been here before and you haven't subscribed, don't be too hard on yourself. Now's an excellent opportunity for you to get that done. Thank you for doing that just now. If you're on the audio platforms, I don't do a good job of addressing those. If you're on what is it? Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, Google Play, well, Audible as well. We're everywhere that you can find content. We are there. So be part of the family.
Yes.
Be one of the best decisions that you make in the next 5 minutes. How you feeling, brother?
Feeling great. Trying to keep it pushing.
Yeah.
Keep it pushing.
Double up, back to back.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm at my house and didn't change my clothes again.
Hey, listen. We have a lot of themes that we do. Back and forth about who gonna open the show. My name changing every episode. Us making sure we start the timer.
Yeah.
Because the timer's still running from the last one. No. We live. Just
That's
listen
new.
to the timer.
That's new.
So, you know.
That's new. Everything recording.
Yeah. See that good outfit again. Shout out to
Everything
my boy over
recorded.
at Father Figure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
60 plus episodes are up. So if you just stumbled onto this one, there's a whole catalog for you to binge,
Yes.
watch, listen, all the things. We're not gonna keep you waiting on this episode. We're gonna get right into it. Oh, you know what we didn't do? I'm about to say last recorded episode, we did not orient the people to our family structure. And I'm giving you time. See, I be giving you.
Yeah,
I'm giving you time. Like I'll
ready.
just jump out there and be posting stuff on social media. You know what I'm saying? Commit you to stuff without warning. I'll do that.
Yeah.
But today, I am a father of 5, 3 girls, 2 boys, 19, 17, 15, 9, and 8.
And I'm a father. That's it?
That was 5, right? 19.
Yep.
Yeah. It be like that sometimes.
I'm a father of 6. I have a 21-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old. That'll be 17 next month.
Mm.
I have a 12-year-old. Then I also have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old who will be, no, a 4-year-old. He'll be 5 in a couple of weeks at the time of this recording.
At the time of this recording, all the things. So we have a wealth of perspective.
Yeah.
We don't suggest that we have all the right answers, but conversations are always right on time. We're here to make you think as we get some things out of our system into the into the atmosphere,
Absolutely.
and more so for accountability than anything else. So, welcome once again. Now, on this episode, I don't know how this is gonna go. That's another thing. We don't rehearse our episodes. It's just
No.
not what we do. We got a
Wouldn't
bunch
be
of
real.
topics that we get into conversation with. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. But there's never a loss of respect. So as you're joining the family, make sure you're aware of that.
Yeah.
How far will you go for your son?
How far will you go for your son? I don't know if I want to go into my perspective or give some examples, because there's examples of what can be viewed as both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, we're based out of the DFW area. Here recently, in the last couple of years, it was like in 2021.
Yep.
There was a young man. His dad drove him up to a gas station where some guys that he had been beefing with, if you will, were at this gas station. So the dad pulls up at the gas station. The young man, his son, jumps out of the truck. 14.
I think at the time, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, he was like 14 at the time. Jump out of the truck, run into the gas station, opens fire, and he ended up killing three young people, teenagers, I believe, as well. Run back to the truck. The dad takes off. Well, they just had the trial, February 2023, and convicted the dad of capital murder. They've yet to find the son. That's one aspect of a father deeming that level of involvement was necessary on behalf of his son. But there's other stories that you don't know. The old saying of you don't know what you'll do or how far you'll go until you're faced with a situation.
Yeah, because I mean, sitting here is real easy to suggest that we would never feel that way, and I like excessive,
right,
unnecessary, cowardly in my book.
Right.
I do understand that father perspective of, son, don't let them punk you.
Right.
Or what's the better word for punk? Don't let them embarrass you. Never seen it to the level of take their life.
Right.
But it begs the question of, how does that line get blurred? Like what I wonder what he had to see, what the father saw as he was growing up, what his experience was and how it's tied to it. Not that it's any excuse.
Right.
Curious.
Right.
Right. Because that's seemingly, I don't know, and I don't know the details, and I don't want to be insensitive to the families of the victims or the injured that survived.
Right.
I don't know how you get to that place of that extreme.
Right. Right.
I get it. Like, your son comes home. I think a lot of fathers could relate to it if he's been in a scuffle.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the father's first response is what?
Let's go get him.
Or did you win? It's like, did you win? Maybe depending on how he shows up, you can kind of ascertain whether or not. But just that default macho, don't let nobody one up you.
Pride and ego.
When it goes pride.
Yeah.
When it goes terribly bad.
Yeah.
I remember my oldest son got in a fight at school, kindergarten.
Right.
Kindergarten. He either kindergarten or first grade, I can't recall, but it was one of the two. They were going to jiu-jitsu after school. So after school program, drop them off at jiu-jitsu, and they would learn and they would train.
Right.
So one day at recess, my son and some kids are playing. My son said, "That's enough. I don't want to play anymore."
Right.
Walks away.
Right.
All his kids had the same story. They chase him. I don't want to play anymore.
Right.
He walks away. They were trying to force him to play. So at some point, he turns around, axe kick. I imagine it was technique, textbook.
Yeah, you're going to get this smoke.
Textbook, right?
Right.
And then there was a little scuffle, and I'm perpetuating the cycle by saying he won. But
Hey,
I mean, the numbers
life
are
is
the
about winners and losers sometimes.
the numbers are the numbers.
No participation trophies.
Yeah, in jest.
Right.
In jest. But we get called up to the school, and me and my wife show up. You know, she was at work, I was at work. We show up, and my whole attitude is, give me the information. Number one, give me the information.
Right.
I didn't jump to conclusions. And where the other parents? Let's be in the same room.
Yeah.
It didn't happen that way, but
Right.
I'm very much open to being in the same room with his father.
Right.
To have this discussion. To have this discussion.
It's needed. It's necessary.
Yeah. So they get the playback. The kid that he was into it said the same thing. Said that kid was wrong. And then they started explaining, well, we just want to make sure that the parents know that we don't tolerate. I said, like, I'm good.
Right.
What are we talking about?
What are we even
My son, you said my son tried to leave, right?
Right.
Tried to leave, right? He was, I don't know what the oversight was, but they were not being, you can't watch every kid.
No.
My son acted appropriately. He tried to evade the situation. And he's like, well, yeah. And my wife was kind of like, yeah, we don't teach. And I was like, what are we doing?
Right.
Son, let's go get a Slurpee.
Right now.
The fact you're getting a call with me, let's go get a Slurpee. And that's
Right.
that's a minor example, but like, what if I wanted more than that from my son?
Right.
Did you get him? Did you hurt him? Did you black his eye? Did you?
Right.
And I know people that are like that.
And a pour the gas on the fire. And when you see them tomorrow, let's make sure we drill this message
every
in.
day.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's important that the evolution, if you will, takes place of the new dad is what I'd like to say. Because recently, the littles, as I call them, my 7-year-old and my 4-year-old, they both play basketball in the league. There's a kid elbowing and grabbing and doing too much with my son, and my son wasn't having it. So this went on long enough to where I felt like it was a disruption. It was way out of hand. I walked out in the middle of the court. Like,
hold on. Pause. Intermission.
Right now. So now, the old saying, it's not a problem until it's a problem.
It's not a problem until it's a problem.
It wasn't a problem until I walked out into the floor, because obviously everybody see this. The other parents see this. The organizer of the league is there. The officials are there. Nothing's going on, but yet I just didn't like the energy. This getting out of hand. You understand? Because all it takes is one blow to go too far.
Yeah.
So I walked out in the middle of the floor. These kids, I don't care about wins and losses on this level. We're learning the fundamentals, but it's also about life. So now let's go talk. So now when the big angry black guy walks out in the middle of the floor, now everybody comes to the floor. And when I say everybody, the officials, the organizer, and now they want to, let's talk to the kids about structure and rules and blah, 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 blah. But that didn't happen prior to him having proper representation, if you will.
Yeah.
Because as long as I didn't say anything, it was going on and going on. So now the ignorance, if you will, would have been to escalate this situation right here, right now. But once I saw that the organization had that thorough conversation with the children, I went to the sideline. And so now, hey, I noticed the guy that was interacting the most. Hey, this must be the other kid's dad. And I asked him, hey, is that your son, number so-and-so? He said, yeah. Hey, man, do me a favor. Talk to your son for me, please. I don't receive this too well, and I don't want this to escalate into something that it doesn't have to be.
Right.
And they're children, but at the same time, what we're not going to be are victims.
Right.
I don't ever want my sons to be victims. So he was like, no. I totally get it and agree. So we grabbed his son up, pulled him to the side, had a thorough conversation with him. I saw the action. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
To me, that diffused the whole situation. Children are children. goes back to your statement of, hey, where's the parent? Where's the dad?
Yep.
I want to see you in the eye. I want to see where your head is with this. If you're good, if the adults are good, then the kids can be molded. So that goes to the how far would you go for your son? There are parents that you can be so shy and timid and trying to be politically correct that you're allowing your child to be a victim in a situation, and think about what you're creating as far as the type of person they'll be in society. Are you going to be a victim? Or are you going to be a problem solver? Don't be an instigator.
Right.
Don't be quick to fight and ruffle and, go to violence or turn physical. But what we're not going to be is a victim.
Yeah.
And I don't care what it looked like. Stop it right now. Let's talk about this. And then let's see what we need next.
Yeah. There was a couple incidents like that. And in hindsight, I'm glad that I never got what I thought I wanted.
Right.
It was to be in the other room, be in a
Right.
room with the other parent. But what is what is that balance, that fine line of allowing your son to kind of fend for himself and figure it out, and jumping in and kind of stopping some things? Because I've been that parent on the playground, like, hey,
Right. Yeah.
you left some lessons on the table at home.
Right.
Your child out here wilding.
Right.
And it's like you said, it's always, everybody's waiting for that parent to say something.
Yeah.
The parent that's bold and brave enough to say something. And I'm like, how do we get here? But I sometimes question, like, well, should I let him? How can he fix it?
Right. Right. Let him get the stress.
Can he solve it, man?
Right.
And, like, how do you gauge? Here's a good one. So from both of our examples were the same age, right? You just between 5 and 7.
Right.
Your son's more recently, my son was somewhere 5 or 6 in the incident I was talking about. But as they mature, how does that even better? Good one. We both have sons that are the same age, the same distance.
Correct.
Right. So
Yep.
as you're recounting your experiences that you had with the younger one, with the oldest one when they were young,
Right.
do you find yourself more overprotective of the younger ones? Because we almost had an incident with back in 12.
Right.
No, we ain't gonna have this in 23.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Honestly, I try to, it's about balance. And what I mean by that is I'm trying to assess the situation to see how out of balance the conflict is. Because if it's balanced conflict, this one kid and my one kid, we're going to have to figure this out.
Yeah.
Because this is going to also help me. There's things that you can only see about yourself or about your child through a real life pressure situation, right?
Yeah.
How do you deal with conflict? What is your source or your tool of choice when it comes to conflict resolution? Are you a loose cannon? Do I need to work on your temper? Or do I need to fire you up a little bit? You're too passive.
Right.
You're too giving. You're the compromiser for everything. We don't do that either. Because that you can do that to a fault, to where now you're a victim just based on your demeanor, and the other person, they pick up on that, and now you're a target. I don't want you to be a target. So with the olders, obviously the older they get, the consequences are greater. So the scenarios are different.
Yeah.
So I'm more antsy with the older son than I am with the younger ones, because I just feel like y'all tussling and rolling around. You're making lifelong decisions at this point, because now once you're 16, 17 and up, you could possibly jail time, record, target. The consequences are much heavier and greater, because now you're at the cusp, you're on the cusp of your adult life.
Yeah.
So now this could mold who society labels you as for the rest of your life. So now my patience is a little shorter to be like, whoa, what are you doing?
Yeah.
How are we going to deal with this? What you got going on? What just happened? Give me the details. And I want to see, how did you assess it? Did you see what I just saw? Because I saw it from afar. You didn't know I was looking, and I watched it unfold. But now do you interject And again, there's the issue, like what you just asked. What if I jump in too quick as a dad? And now, anytime conflict hits, guess what he's doing?
Yeah.
He's looking over his shoulder. Where my parents, where my dad, where my mom, they're coming. They're going to fix this. You're setting them up for failure again. You understand?
The flip side of that is if you show up as a parent prematurely and it's embarrassing,
Oh,
right? And
right.
now the crowd suggests that it's always going to be waiting on his parent, his dad, to show up, right?
Right.
And now they feel like they got something to prove because you showed up too quick last time, and now
Right.
they make a more dire decision, like you said, and not understanding that at this age how the system will play with them.
Yeah.
I think that's a real big deal. Do you so let's take the path of hypothetically, right?
Yeah.
Jumped in too early with your son in one situation. Now he's laughing stock,
Right.
right? Now, without your coercion, he goes too far because he wants to get his name, his reputation,
Right.
and he does something that's over the top.
Right.
What we doing?
Man.
What we
That-
doing?
Look how look at this layered problem.
Yeah.
Let's say, for instance, just like you said, it goes over the top. Let's say it's within our reach to fix it,
Mm-hmm.
right? We fix it. We use it as a teachable moment. We talk to our son like, hey, look how this turned out. This is how this goes. This is what this looks like. Devil's advocate, no matter how severe the situation is, mom and dad finds a way to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm a habitual line stepper because guess what? Mom and dad gonna fix it. I don't respect boundaries. Mom and dad gonna fix it.
Yeah.
So now I'm in attack mode. I'm a menace to society because in mom and dad's eyes, apparently I can do no wrong.
Right.
They'll chastise me on the side in private, but publicly they're gonna come to my defense, even if I was wrong.
Yep.
So they're gonna tell this other person, you have no right to check or come at my son in this manner, when they absolutely did. Your son violated them, violated the law, broke the rules, whatever the case may be. And I'm not trying to sound self-righteous,
Yeah.
but it's hard to be in the moment. Your natural parental instinct kicks in and you kind of want to, whoa. But it may be necessary. Maybe your child and you need this right now.
Right.
Because you've created an environment where, like that influenza deal, yet another story in the DFW area, the young man that drunk driving around in a car, he's underage, drinking, had a wreck. I think two of the other passengers died. They're all
Wow.
teenagers. And so they went to trial, and his attorney coined the term influenza. He said that because he lived such an influential life and he was pampered so much that he has no concept of consequence.
Wow.
And they granted this kid, they let him post bail. And so once he post bail, the mom took him and they fled and left the country. And they were bouncing country to country, I think like in Mexico or something. To this day, I don't think they found the young man. They found the mom and brought her back over. To this day, the young man is still free, man, because the attorney made the case or the argument that this kid was so accustomed to his parents, his mom, paying his way and getting him out of trouble that he didn't have a clear understanding of consequence. And they bid it.
Wow.
They let that ride. So imagine that. That's another example of how far would you go for your son. In my opinion, that's too far. Because again, look what you've created. Even the attorney assessed it, slapped you in your face, but you accepted the slap because it got your son off the hook. You've crippled your son to the point of you've made him a hardened criminal by ignorance, is the argument he's trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
He's so pampered and spoiled, he doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. That's the argument. And they they believed it.
Yeah, I mean, there's the call back to what you said earlier. You never know what you'll do until you're in that situation,
Right.
because until it compromises your beliefs or your reputation, there's nothing you won't do for your children,
True.
right?
Yep.
Because if there was a way for your child to avoid the consequences when you don't think they can survive the consequences,
Right.
that calls into question what you would really do in that situation. I can't even put myself, I don't even know how to put myself in that mind frame to think what I would do.
Right.
Because on the one hand, when it's all good and it's all, like you said, manageable, where you're still in a place where you can correct it,
Mm-hmm.
you stand on that line. There's nothing I won't do. But I mean, that's a real, like, if your child has been responsible for someone's life being taken,
Right.
and you know that their life will be taken in return, do you just offer them up? And not here you go, but like that. I mean, there's consequences to actions, right? And if you know that the consequences are warranted, but you can't see your child, you can't see your son any differently than your son.
Right. Right. Right.
I don't know what it is to have to be in a situation where you have to look at your children as something other than your children.
Man.
Look at your children as a criminal, as criminals, or as addicts. I
Right.
mean, I
Right.
think that
Or abusers.
abuse,
You know how many
all of the things.
women I've heard, they've watched their son actively commit abuse. You understand? Domestic violence
Mm-hmm.
on a woman in front of their mother. You understand? And then say stuff like, look what you made him do to you. Or what did you do to make him act this way?
Yeah.
I don't care. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
So again, I can't imagine.
Yeah. It's because we always want to see our child. We always see them subjectively,
Right.
but want to put on as if we will look at them objectively if they do something immoral or.
But how true is that? And do you even know? Do you truly believe that until it really happens? And
Until
then
it
it's
happens.
like, what do you expect me to do?
Yeah.
There's rumored stories, circulating that if they were true would make your blood curl, man,
Yeah.
if you will, because like you say, out of respect for the victims, I don't want to go into the detail, but when the stories kind of made it to me, I don't know how accurate they are. I don't want to slander anyone's name, obviously,
Yeah.
but
I mean, they're good hypothetical conversations anyway.
right,
Just to push the
there's a
argument.
hypothetical that a group of young men at a high school ended up disliking another young man at the high school. Story came out, it was over a young lady. One of the boys liked a girl,
Mm-hmm.
found out she liked this other guy.
Yeah.
Him and his buddies went rough the guy up. It went too far. Young man ended up dead.
Ooh.
The main culprit, if you will, his dad had a background in criminology. He was a forensics guy for law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
There were certain techniques he was aware of that would make it hard to point a finger at his child.
Right.
So what it was said that he went and did these things,
Like tamper with evidence and stuff.
to where even once they found this young man's body,
Yeah.
things that were done and removed and et cetera, made it hard to identify a time of death.
Wow.
So that if you can't find the time of death, then obviously you
Hard to
can't
pinpoint a
pinpoint
suspect.
who was
Yeah.
where and when. So because these techniques were put into place, And
Abused.
this
Yeah.
was only found out due to someone confessing later, though. That's
Wow.
how good and thorough it was. But imagine that your son comes and tells you, "Hey, just had a altercation with this other guy. He's
Yeah.
dead."
Yeah.
And then you go into fix it mode to where, oh, you didn't know what you were doing. And then you do these things to try to make it go away. This young man is dead. You know, where's the line?
Yeah.
Again, and not to be self-righteous, I tell my sons all the time, like, know where you stand before a situation. The worst thing in the world is to find yourself in a situation trying to now determine where you stand on that situation because you didn't have something in place prior.
I mean, that's a lot, man, because like stretching the thought of protecting your child, I see how somebody could go that far,
Right,
right?
right.
What I wonder is how much of the guilt drives that, right? Is it they know they didn't prepare them for life or for these
Right.
situations,
Right.
and they might really believe that their child doesn't know any better because they haven't taught them any better.
Wow.
And where does that accountability, if you can manufacture the truth or the absence of proof, I guess
Right.
that's what it was. Like again, what is, how do you, your whole moral compass is in question
Oh,
at that point.
because who are you now
Yeah.
after that? Who is your son now
Who is
after
your,
that?
like, yeah, how do you even parent beyond that? Because there's no way to explain it
Right.
without perpetuating that cycle of all is fair and protecting my son at the expense of other lives.
Right. Right.
That's crazy, man. I can't think of a situation even remotely that close. Right. And we live in this don't snitch culture.
Right.
And that's not the argument. But I came up in a house where if I stole something, I'm going to get whipped and I'm going to go back. I'm going to have to go and apologize or whatever, make that thing right. Whatever it was,
Right.
XYZ,
Right.
as you call it.
Right. XYZ.
Insert whatever, you got
Right.
to go make it right. But I think the shift in the generation, like we don't want the responsibility of parenting.
No. Right.
We
Right.
want the clicks and the views and the photos, photo ops and the cute videos. But when something reflects that we didn't parent properly, we haven't been accountable to ourselves, let alone being accountable for our children and to other people.
Right.
And it's what really concerns me is that that's the pool from which our children are picking partners.
True. And there's no way around it.
No.
I've had scenarios where it appeared the child had more integrity in a situation than the parent. And the parent hushed them. You know, something happened. The child was trying to speak on it and confess, like, hey, I did it. The parent all but grabbed the kid around the mouth, like,
Yeah.
They don't know that. Why are you doing this?
Right.
Not knowing, saw the whole move, and it was like, wow, that's absurd. Because I try to, and from past mistakes, I try to use situations like that to better myself,
Right.
better my kids. I'm not perfect. My kids aren't perfect. But every chance you get to show them how something looks or how something turns out, and I constantly say your character is what you do when you think nobody's looking.
Yep.
What better way for you to really learn that than to see it? Because if I see something like that and I know my son saw it, I'll look at him and he'll look at me So that's kind of like putting a pin in
Yeah.
it. We're going to talk about this later because I want to know what you saw. Why did you look at me? You saw something
Yeah.
because you looked at me and I was already looking at you. So when we go back and revisit it later, I can see where you stand on that because you could have agreed with what the kid did.
Yeah.
You could have agreed with what the parent did. Like, oh, I wouldn't have said anything. Why was she about to say something? You
Yeah.
know, kind of thing. And I was like, nah, or whatever, however that goes. But we are definitely in a different era of if they didn't see that, be quiet.
It didn't happen. Yeah.
Right.
Don't snitch on yourself.
Right.
Man, I do not regret growing up in the era I grew up in
Right.
at all. Like I literally have moments where it's like, man, what am I? Who is there? Who is available? Who would fit in this family? like these, because that's how it works, man. This is
Man, who you telling?
I don't know, man. It's not too many families I want to merge with.
No. No. Because you hear
Oof.
some real horror stories.
Yes.
Real life. And especially my household, my household has all boys.
Mm-hmm.
So typically it's almost a given that the grands, if you will, are going to be close to the mom's side of the family, typically.
Gotcha.
So what'll happen is it's a crapshoot almost if whoever your son's wife is, once they're reproducing and they have children, how does that wife feel about the in-laws or the energy of it's the holidays, I'm going to my mama's house? Oh,
Me and the kids going to my mama's house.
yeah, you can do what you want. You can go
Yeah.
see your parents, but me and mine.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, buddy.
Man,
that's
I mean, that takes us down a whole nother lane of just how kids talk.
right.
Again, it's adult children, man. Just some of the experiences that she's had that are probably so normal
Mm-hmm.
are just guys not know how to talk.
Because it's different.
You know what I'm saying? And it's some of what's normal now would have probably got you touched up
I
a
promise.
couple generations
Yeah.
ago. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah.
everything is so, I don't know, everything is so devoid of feelings that when something real or tragic happens, they either
Mhm.
don't know how to process it or they're numb. They're
Just
numb to it.
Blank
Like
face.
I can't imagine how that 14-year-old, and this is not a sympathy or empathy, goes through life now.
Right.
The sheer guilt of the actions, and now his father taking the rap. Because I don't know how a 14-year-old disappears without their parent. I mean,
Right.
well, I shouldn't say that.
Well,
Intentionally. If
right.
if you're so connected to their co-defendants.
Right.
In a sense,
Exactly.
right?
And he was like, I didn't know. That's what he did.
oof,
Cut it out.
That's wild, man.
Right.
Like this whole conversation makes me kind of take inventory of like how I react to certain things I see, certain conversations we have. Like can't assume that anything landed. I know I've given information, I know I've demonstrated some things, but like you can't assume that your kids, they say some things and more things are caught than taught.
Right.
And it's the checks and balances of making sure what they caught aligns with what you intended
Please.
as you lead your family, man.
Because it's not the hearing, it's the comprehension.
That part.
You know,
That
like,
part.
I know you heard what I
Yeah.
said, but what did you get out of what I said?
The
Well, you told me if anybody said anything, don't stop till they out of there. Whoa, that's not what I said.
Yeah.
That's not what I said at
Yeah.
all. Like, that's not what I meant. Like, maybe perhaps I was saying, make certain that they know that don't try you in this way again.
Yeah.
To some kids, that means, oh, okay, they don't need to be living anymore. It's not what I said.
Yeah.
Not what I said. So that is important.
Dealing with irrational, some very irrational young humans with access to everything.
Everything.
Access to substances that alter their personality, their character, their consciousness, access to weapons. And when you combine those two things,
And technology.
yeah.
Let's not forget about the technology they have access to.
Yeah. Man, this is I think this is one of those reflective conversations that we always need to mix in.
Right.
On this platform. We hope that the listening audience takes inventory of how far they're implying, like what precedent are they setting with their children, right? Do your children try you or try the system because they know you'll defend them at all costs? Something to be very, very, very mindful of.
Do you know what you mean when you say I don't play about mine? Do your children know what you mean when you blatantly always say, I don't play about mine?
Yeah.
Because I don't play about mine. What do you mean by that? What do your kids think that means?
Yeah.
Do they feel like that gives them a pass or a green light to wild out in public? Or when they're away from you, away from the house? Because I'll shut this down. My mama will come shut this down. My dad will come shut this
Shut
down.
the whole thing down.
What does this mean? And do you mean for them to receive it that way? If not, you need to adjust. Normalize having these conversations with your
I was
kids.
about to say, talk about it.
Let's sit down. Let's talk. And it don't have to be formal.
Yeah.
We walking from the car to the store. Hey, bounce some stuff off your kids, but have some conversations with your kids. In depth, brief. Their attention span. Sometimes it's short. Sometimes they feel like sitting down and listening and talking. Mix it up, change it up, try different things. But the message is normalize. Find out where your kid's head is, man. Please. Please.
Don't let the incident drive that conversation.
Right.
Be proactive. Dope conversation, my brother. Appreciate you as always. We appreciate our listening audience. Shout out to all of our folks across the globe. Big things happening in Africa. Africa 2024 is a real thing. Bahamas, shout out to y'all.
Yep.
US, we on the map. At least last week at the time of this recording, we were on the map. But we got to climb them charts. Share this with a friend. These are conversations that we want to make sure that are available to people that need them at the time they need them. We don't want regret to drive these bad decisions when there's a platform with information available to kind of help you think through things. So what else you got, brother?
Pay attention.
Pay attention. We appreciate you guys. God bless you. Peace.
They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just pull it out and count for nothing when I'm feeling great. Give my baby little more just to spend it.